This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Perk. Well, at least I know David Furones won't be selling any hopium this week anymore on the post-game reports.
No, I think the hopium is dead, man. It is dead.
I would hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You know, Big O, it's right now the word for the season to me is disappointing. It might get worse. We'll see how they finish out these last 3 games. We'll see what happens. But disappointing, you know, you're 6-8. Now you're going to have 2 playoff appearances in 3 years with all the talent that you've accumulated. I mean, forget about winning a playoff game. You weren't even going to the playoffs this year. So disappointing is where the definition of this season starts. We'll see where it ends on January 6th.
You want what the Dolphins are? Okay, here we go. First interception, Tyreek runs the wrong route. He ran it too deep. He was supposed to run it more shallow. Boom, you got your interception. Second interception, Tua throws a completely terrible football. Total anticipation by the DB. Takes it away from him. Tua, by the way, also put Grant Dubose, that poor kid, in the hospital.
Yeah.
He Tanny killed his ass. Actually, that's a Tanny kill special, right? By the way, for those of you that didn't live the Tanny kill era. And then the third one, you're doing a fade with a Oompa Loompa. So you're asking the quarterback to be perfect, and you're asking the Oompa Loompa to overcome and all that. It's bad job by the head coach. So in 3 different ways, you have those turnovers. All 3 of them contributed to all 3 turnovers, but it kind of shows you the dysfunction of the offense at all levels.
Yeah, Big O, I've been saying this since December of 2022 that the Dolphins' biggest problem is their offense. And because at first you had an offense that was based on 2 things, right? Tyreek Hill and the threat of Tyreek Hill. Last year, the good teams figured that out. That's why the Dolphins went 1-6 last year against playoff teams and lost by an average score of 32-16. And look, Big O, when you look at how they've done against playoff teams, it's gotten worse each year. The first year, they're 2-6 and they lose by an average score of 29-24. Last year, 1-6, you lose by an average score of 32-16. And coming into this game, it was 0-4. It's now 0-5. The average score coming in was 29-14. So your offensive output each year against playoff teams has gone from 24 to 16 to 14. Your offense is your major problem.
Well, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And here's the thing, dude. No changes are going to be made. They're going to bring back the front office. They're going to bring back the head coach. The only thing that I've been saying, if this is what you're going to do, then you need to make Frank Smith your play caller at least and give him a chance to see if he can do it. So Mike McDaniel can just work on relationships and all that kind of stuff during the game, which, you know, he might be better off to be kind of a Pete Carroll type where you're working the relationships and the rah-rah stuff and all that and not be so worried about the game. But from everything I hear, there's going to be no changes. Everybody's signed through. The front office is signed through. The head coach is signed through. They just signed them all. Nobody's going anywhere. So if you're not going to do that, then make some changes in that sense because Mike McDaniel cannot handle both jobs as a head coach and the offensive coordinator.
I talked to Andy Reid and Zach Taylor at the NFL owners meetings about how you divide up those jobs. And both of them said you've got to have people that you trust during the week so that you can concentrate more on whatever you need to focus on, whether it's being a head coach or being the play caller. But it's very tough to do both of those jobs every day of the week, they said, because you're going to fall behind on one of them, either as the head coach or as the play caller. So you've got to designate duties. It's not a game day thing, they were saying. It's a midweek thing. And the Dolphins somehow, Big O, they've got to make some changes. And I wrote this last year that if McDaniel didn't win that Kansas City Chiefs game, the front office, whoever, Steve Ross, because Tom Garfinkel, Chris Greer needed to demand some concessions from Mike McDaniel that either you're going to get better at the run game or whatever. They need to do that again this year. That you've got to divide up the midweek duties, or you've got to get some interior line or some interior defensive line. Stop drafting speed. Get some bulk, get some toughness, get some aggression on this team. Big O, somehow change has to be forced upon Mike McDaniel because 3 years into it, he's not willing to change a whole lot. He did tweak his offense, but that was out of necessity. That wasn't because he thought it would be better. It was just because everybody had shut down the passing game. But they've got to come up with better ways to approach these games and then better performances in these games.
Well, the worst part is it's kind of you talked about it at the beginning. You kind of touched on what I'm about to say, but you've ruined the window. There's 1 year left of this window with these players. And then after that, cap hell is going to hit in the 25-26 season. So you're so screwed that you've got next year, but that's like the last of that window. And then after that, there's going to be a lot of breaking up that has to do. And you've kind of ruined everything because that was going to be the run that you had, because now you have to pay the quarterback and everything kicks in. Dude, it just becomes much harder for you to compete at this point. That, by the way, just to kind of piggyback off of that, this draft might be the most important draft that they've ever had for that tenure right there. Why? Because this draft you're going to have to hit on a bunch of them because you're going to have to turn over that roster the following season. Yep.
And you should get 2 third-round compensatory picks for Christian Wilkins and Rob Hunt. But, you're right, Big O. And look at the 30-somethings and how they performed and think how many of those guys you're going to have to replace. You saw that Armstead and Kendall Lamb were out today. I wouldn't think Jordan Poyer's coming back. OBJ didn't make it. I wouldn't think that I'm leaving somebody else out. Marcus May didn't make it. Shaq Barrett didn't work out. Calais, he's welcome to come back, but if he wants to win a title, he's not coming back to the Dolphins, right?
The Barrett thing became a blessing, actually.
It did. It did. Except they
got a better play. So
you did, but the point is, you relied on a lot of 30-somethings, and you're going to have to fill a lot of those holes for next year, whether they worked out or not. You've got a lot of holes to fill just on the 30-somethings.
All right, so now we got to get brutal. Tua now has to understand that he's lying to people. Okay? Don't say that you can't say you felt bad about leaving your team on a lurch and you still don't understand that you can't be diving. You can't be putting your body at risk. He still does not get it, that you cannot play the game
The run, yeah. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought he was smart in his approach on the interception return. Let Devon Achane run that dude down. You weren't going to catch him. Tua pulled up. He's got to play tough football at some point, Big O. I mean, you're missing your 2 offensive tackles. It's
he
tough.
Can't play tough football. That's not who he is. He can't play tough football. In fact, the sack he took at the beginning of the game, that was stupid. His teammate blew out his shoulder doing the same shit. And he ran all the way out of bounds, which was 2 yards.
He should have got rid of that ball. Yeah, he should have got rid of that one.
You get rid of the ball, 1, because that way you avoid a sack, but 2, you avoid a possible collision. All right, Perkster. So finishing up my question is, he has proven today, again, that he cannot be trusted. He gets blinded when he's on the field. He will not do what's right to protect his body. He will put his body in harm's way like he did a few times today, holding onto the ball in the back, running to the ends, running to the sideline, and then obviously the dive. If you're the Miami Dolphins, you either have to draft a kid that has starting ability, or you better get the best backup that exists in the NFL next year and overpay. But you better be prepared, because Tua Tagovailoa will go down to injury It's the inevitable because of the way he plays.
I don't think that Tua plays reckless or careless. I didn't think he did today. I didn't think he did against Damar Hamlin going for that first down. But you are correct, and your point has good reason. He is going to go down at some point, whether it's him playing aggressively or just because, we've got to remember in the NFL, he hasn't just had the concussion. He had the ribs and the finger, right, and the hand. He's had other injuries. But look,
he raises his percentage of injury concern because of the way he plays. Okay, every quarterback's at risk, dude. Herbert gets injured all the time. Burrow gets injured more than Tua does, actually. So every quarterback's at risk because it's the stinking NFL, but he puts himself more at risk because of the way he plays.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with him today, Big O. I didn't. He doesn't play like Josh Allen, and obviously he's not built like Josh Allen. But I'm saying he doesn't run the ball aggressively, like Lamar Jackson to gain yards. Tua runs the ball because he has to run the ball because that's the only way to get the first down. But yes, look. What I would do is get a veteran backup, right? A Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton. Teddy Bridgewater was the right idea. It didn't work out, but yes, I wouldn't draft a rookie because look, if you're still trying to win the Super Bowl next year, Big O. I don't want a rookie. I know, Big O. I know. Big O, stop, Big O. Let me finish my sentence. If you're trying to go anywhere next year,
one playoff win. I just want one playoff.
I know. Let's start. I know. We should start at the beginning. But
to age myself, we need one pin, Rodney.
That's right. I love that. Yes, I get that, Big O. I remember that Miller Lite commercials, baby. Yeah, you need a veteran quarterback. I'm not turning it over to an unproven rookie, no matter how much potential he has. Big O, I think last year was the best year for the Super Bowl window when you had Wilkins and all those other guys. You didn't take advantage, and yeah, I think next year is it. You might as well bring the band back, but just make some changes, demand changes, and yeah, like you say, and like I wrote, starting with the play calling. Make Mike. I'm not taking play calling from Mike McDaniel. That would just break his spirit. That it's what he does, Big O. It's what he does. But his approach has to be his midweek approach, not his game day approach. His midweek approach and preparation has to be different.
Yeah, but the result, it's 3 years in and the results are not good enough. That is the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and expecting a different result at this point. We're 3 years in and we constantly see the screw-ups from Mike McDaniel. It doesn't get any better. It
needed to change before this season. At this point, I mean, look, again, I mean, if you get rid of McDaniel now, you're in so deep with Tua and this whole thing, Tyreek and Waddle. I could go this direction another year, but I need a fresher approach. You can't, as we saw, you can't go for this big play passing game. It gets shut down. That's why they're going with this dink and dunk offense right now. But one of the problems was with the construction of the team that you had nothing else to go to. Now, finally, you did discover Jonnu Smith this year. A year late, you should have had your receiving tight end last year. You should have upgraded the slot position last year. You should have upgraded running back last year, but we are where we are. Yeah, and so I'm not saying you have to start all. Now you're so deep into it, Big O, you might as well just double down for next year and see how it goes with the thinking we'll just take the broom to everything if it doesn't work. But again, even with coming back with the same people, take a different approach. Do things differently. You cannot do the same thing again next year.
How about a big receiver so you can, do the jump with big receivers, And it's like, it's great. Like a couple of weeks ago, we just watched him. He had no business to leave you. Mac Hollins could have been a number 3 receiver on any offense you ever ran because he would have served his purpose. He would have never broken your bank. He would have led your special teams, and he would have been happy being the number 3 receiver. And now you don't have him, and there he is. That's the guy I could have used that fade for. Matt Collins or an Oronde Gadsden or whatever in the history of time. This head coach refuses to add that element, which, by the way, would make the quarterback's life a little easier.
Yep. And look, Dubose was the only guy who had size on this roster. And now he's, sidelined. I'm not making light of that, but he was your big body receiver. And you don't have a big body receiver anymore. You tried with Chase Claypool last year. That was an absolute disaster. But yeah, these roles on the team that go unfilled, Big O, no power runner, no big receiver, no slot receiver. You just look and you go, what's going on here? How can nobody tell Mike McDaniel we need this element in the offense? It's like everybody is scared to tell Mike McDaniel the truth, or Mike McDaniel just ignores them. I think it's the former and not the latter, but something has got to change, Big O. You cannot do this for fourth straight.
Although I do feel they found their slot guy. I like Malik Washington.
Yeah, Malik is a tough kid. He's a good athlete there. Yeah. Yep.
I like him. I think he can definitely grow into that position, and you got yourself a tight end finally, but you still need to find a big wide receiver to add. If the Alzugaray thing didn't work out, okay, fine, but go find somebody that can add that dimension, overall. By the way, Eric at EJD Construction, if you're looking to remodel your home, custom home construction, major home remodeling, call EJD Construction. And Eric is the owner's cell number 305-433-4843. They are fully insured, liability and workers' comp. So make sure you call Eric, 305-433-4843. You got to start worrying about how you're gonna keep these guys kind of in check down the stretch, because it gets to a point where they start making business decisions on their own, especially some of those old guys you talked about that aren't going to come back.
Yep. And I'm starting, when we talk about that, I'm starting with Jordan Poyer and Javon Holland. If I'm Javon, they're not bringing me back. I don't want to get injured. I'm going to have to think about business decisions. And if I'm Jordan Poyer, what's it all about? I'm 33. This is probably my last year. I'm healthy right now. So there are going to be business decisions made, Big O. And you've got to, if you're Mike McDaniel or some of these other players, you've got to start thinking about that. And, is the guy next to me, is he really into this, or is he mentally checked out? And how do you approach it? How do you keep guys motivated? How do you keep guys focused? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I can see the Patrick McMorris kid starting to get a little bit more playing time to see if he's got any skills. I already told David this last week. I would be moving on with Patrick Paul, and I would say, hey, Teron, we appreciate everything. Stay here, help us out, and finish the season, help coach these guys up. But season's over. We got to move on with Patrick Paul. He's the future. We tried it. We all that kind of good stuff. That's what I would do. I would start playing some of these young guys, because now you've got a few games and you can start to assess them and get them some experience too in the process.
Yeah, you got to go to Kendall Lamb and Teron Armstead, you've got to have a talk with them and see, what did they want to do. Also, you want Teron to go out the right way, but you've got to look out for the organization also. Kendall Lamb, I don't know, what he would want to do. I know that at a certain point he said he was rethinking this being his final season. There's really, I don't think you would want to put Jackson Carman out there.
No, but he could be the swing guy next year, Kendall. You could bring him back up cheap. And then since Armstead's gone and Paul and Jackson start, Lamb could be your guy as a backup, and he's happy in that role. So if he wants to, that at least with Teron, what's coming. And he's retiring, but he's been fantastic adding in the leadership side of it. So that's good too.
And we'll see what happens with Mike McDaniel and his friend Raheem Mostert in that sense. Do you give Jalen Wright more carries? That Raheem's not part of the future. So we'll see. Jeff Wilson, he was inactive today. Do you activate him, or there's some questions that you're going to want answered here. And here's the thing, Big O. With their last 3 opponents, you don't really have to worry about playoff integrity, right? You're not messing up the playoffs by playing your younger, people, because none of these teams are going to the playoffs, so you can really kind of look out for your own interest in these last 3 games, whatever that is.
Perk, in one of the breaks during the game, I went to my fridge, and in the milk carton, Jalen Wright's face was there.
That goes back with we just need one pin, Rodney. I don't know how many of these listeners know what that means, but yeah, he has been the missing guy, right? I mean, give this man some carries, right? Let's figure out what he can do. He looks like he can move the pile and run between the tackles and run with aggression. I know he had the fumble with Skylar Thompson, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie. He's got to learn, and so you need his skill set.
I'm not wishing anything on anybody, but I keep looking at Achane and I'm going, you guys are treating him like he's a 6'2", 220 back here.
I agree.
And overusing him. And then if he breaks down and now now you're going to deal with the whole offseason and all that. Dude, There's Jalen Wright. What did they draft him for? To sit there and look pretty? Get that kid involved, man. I just don't understand.
Yeah, Achane took that big hit from Quinnen Williams last week, got twisted around, and I was like, wow. I mean, yeah, you should, this guy is, he's I think he's at maybe 1,400 yards from scrimmage, 1,100 yards from scrimmage. He's had an incredibly productive season, hasn't missed a game, even though he had that concussion. He's proven what he needs to prove. Now, yeah, you might want to tail off and start looking ahead to next year and preserving Achane so that he can have a healthy offseason.
All right, what do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, we're going to look at the numbers, of the McDaniel Tua era and see, what these numbers look like, their record against good teams, and see how you progress going forward. So, it's going to be something that I think that it concludes you can't keep doing the same thing. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, Big O, let me say, give a shout out to Matt Cook. He's a fan of yours. He works at the Marriott by the Westin here, and
really?
By the Galleria here in Houston. And so he's a fan. I was eating there. Told the server why I'm in town. She said he's a big Dolphins fan. I said bring him out. We'll talk. And so we talked. And here's the funny thing, Big O. He goes, Chris Perk. He goes, yes, I know you. You're on Big O and Ellen Poupart's show. And I'm thinking, yeah, I also write for the Sun Sentinel. But anyway, there you go. There's the power of free media, baby.
Perk, that damn subscription wall. It doesn't let them get to know you, man.
I know. The paywall kicking my ass again.
Damn paywall, what's going on?
But I appreciate the time here, Big O. It's making me famous, baby.
Always love. And Matt, thank you out there.
Yep.
Check this out in Houston. Much love, my brother. Appreciate you. And apologies that our team continues to suck, my man. One year they'll figure it out. I've been saying it for decades, but one year they'll figure it out. I don't know why.
Yep. They will.
Gone by the time they do it. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk and catch his work. And get through the paywall.
That's it. Deal. Give me some money, baby. Give us some money. That's it.
We need Perk stuff. Pay through the paywall. Come on. As always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate it.
All right, Big O.
You got it. There you go. EJDconstruction.com. Miami Dolphins post-game report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big